Hello friends, in this brief video, we shall discuss the need to differentiate data privacy as a concept from data subjects privacy as a concept. Normally, industry does not differentiate the two. When we talk of data privacy, we are most of the time talking about protecting the privacy of individuals like our employees or our customers. However, when we talk of information security, we speak of how we protect the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of information, which is an inanimate object. The concept of privacy is more closely linked to the right of privacy guaranteed as a human right by the Constitution and other laws. Whereas the information security, that is securing an information which has got a value for the business from being vandalized or misused, is an aspect of business prudence. And information security professionals are today focusing on information security. You can call information security as data privacy as long as you understand the term means the same thing, because privacy can be extended to mean something different from the right of privacy under Constitution and extended to privacy of data. However, there is no need for us to keep this confusion going that privacy of data and privacy of the data principle or data subject are not distinguished properly in our communications. So what I personally prefer is to keep this distinction in the law itself. That is, when we talk of the shape of things to come in Indian law and how the law has to define different kinds of data, we are anyway going to define data as personal data and non-personal data. We are going to talk about protection of personal data, which is the protection of information privacy, or in other words, protecting the privacy of an individual by protecting the personal information which is in electronic form. That is what we are going to talk about in data protection law generally. Now, to distinguish between the privacy of data and privacy of data subject, we have to look at personal data and non-personal data differently. And protection of non-personal data has to be considered as a different responsibility. And it can exclude the protection of personal data. In an organization, the data protection officer is expected to work on the protection of personal data, whereas the CISO is expected to work on the protection of non-personal data. As a means of, say, as a measure of continuity, in the past, when privacy was not such an important concept, CISO used to handle both the protection of personal data and non-personal data. But today, protection of personal data does not end with protecting the confidentiality, integrity, and availability by managing the right to access or by encrypting the data and so on. We need to actually have this informed consent to be obtained, manage the day, right to portability, right to forget, all these things, which are concepts which are not today part of a CISO's duty. And you can always make the CISO also a DPO and tell him that you have to look at these things also. But the supervisory authorities under GDPR have not found this concept of CCO function, DPO function to be combined in a single person acceptable from the point of view of avoiding the conflicts. So therefore, an organization has to distinguish these two roles. protecting the data which is personal information as per the data protection laws of the particular country, with some knowledge of technology and some knowledge of law. On the other hand, the role of CISO will be protecting the information which is purely a technical aspect. Now, whether both can be done by the same or not is a matter of eternal debate, but we feel that it is better to distinguish the two because the mental attitude required for protecting the privacy of the data principle is different from that of protecting the data per se. Therefore, we need to distinguish the two. So I feel that in the upcoming law, the government should ensure that this distinction is brought forth in some way in different definition of the roles or in the definition of the data protection officer's role, or even in the chapterization, which says this chapter will apply to protection of personal data, this chapter will apply to protection of non-personal data, and so on. For some time, there was a discussion that non-personal data and personal data may be combined into one comprehensive law, but I think that particular thought has gone to the background now. Instead of that, ITA 2000 will remain as the law for protection of data, non-personal data, and it may be revised simultaneously, but that will remain as one different statute. But data breach notification has already been combined with the responsibility of the data protection regulator under the Personal Data Protection Act of India, and therefore to some extent the data protection officer will have to be in constant touch with the CISO to ensure that data breach of non-personal data is also captured by the DPO and reported to the regulatory authority. Same way, the CISO may have to capture the data breach arising in the DPO's domain and report it to the CERT-In. So both these two people will have to work together. So therefore, organizations like FDPPI may have to, as we go forward, ensure that we keep both the CISOs and the DPOs in our community and try to help the DPO to develop skills of the CISO and CISO to develop the skills of the DPO. And probably we will try to do that in the coming year by reorienting FDPPI's priorities to also address CISOs to some extent. And that is where certain guidelines compliance has been taken as one of the activities. And ITA 2000 compliance is being integrated with the personal data protection compliance, and the two together we have framed the DPCMS framework, that is Data Protection Compliance Management System framework, to follow the DPCSI or the Standard of India, Data Protection Standard of India. I hope this is the right approach as we go forward, and the government will also recognize this and have the law created suitably. We will perhaps discuss a little more on this when we actually have the session in IDPS 2022 on the shape of things to come. Ensure that you are there and participate in the discussion. Thank you.